We're so excited to be here. Just 1 year ago, Danny and I were sitting in this room in Tampa.
Not this room.
Not this room, but in Tampa. The This Is It conference after saying yes just 2 weeks prior, and we were sitting in the back as flies on the wall, and everything changed in that conference. Wow. We started to see exactly what you're seeing. We started to understand exactly what you're starting to understand, and we started to believe just like you're believing. And everything, just 1 year, everything can change.
But the thing is you can't see it to believe it. That's not where it starts. Everything is about believing to see. You have to believe to see. You don't see to believe. There's a huge difference in that. And it really starts with your imagination. You know, God gave you an imagination. That's why when you see your kids, you see little kids running around and you're so proud of your kids all the time because they're creative. And they've got huge imaginations and they never stop dreaming until the world starts beating on them and teaches them not to dream anymore, teaches them not to believe anymore. And so we're part of what we're here for is to help you recapture your childlike faith, because we're going to teach you right now some things about, the power of belief and what the process of belief is and how it leads to authenticity. And so in order to start that, let me tell you very quickly, I'm going to try to tell you a really fast story about where things started for us in our life. I'm a third generation high school football coach from Texas. And I grew up watching my dad and mom scrape to make ends meet, living paycheck to paycheck in little bitty towns, 700 to 1,000 people all over Texas. And Diane grew up very poor. Her dad was a carpenter, made about $11,000 a year at the most ever. And so she grew up very, very poor. And so we got married and never had a honeymoon. We'd never been on vacation. We'd never been outside of the state of Texas. And now I'm starting my coaching dream, which before I proposed to her, I'd laid it out to her and told her I was going to be the winningest high school football coach in the state of Texas. And this is what life was going to be. Can you follow me? Can you be with me through that journey? I need a coach's wife. And she said yes. And we never thought about money because we didn't know how to think about money. We'd never seen money. So we didn't know the power of how financial freedom could change your life. But here's what happened. As quickly as I can tell this, because I want to get to some real meat, but this is meat at the same time. In 1994, a former coach walked up to me at school, and he said, "Hey, Coach, I've been running a spring break ski trip for 10 years, and if you and your wife will help recruit your football players, then you can go for free to Durango, Colorado, and chaperone." The next day, I had the bus loaded. Seriously. And one day, I had the bus loaded. The checks were $426 per kid, and we're spring break, me and Diane are on the bus taking the kids to Tahoe. Here's what happened. My boys lied to me, and my boys made me go, these are my football players, they made me go to the top of the mountain without any lessons. And yeah, little did I know. I mean, I'm like, you're the baby giraffe, I finally get up. And here's what happened though. I looked out, and all I could see was the beautiful shades of blue like I'd never seen in my life. White snow-capped mountains everywhere. And I was 28 years old, and I just started crying, bawling. And I told myself in my mind, as I'm looking out there at the landscape, and I asked the question, why? Why am I 28 years old? This is the first time I've ever stood on a mountain. And I vowed to myself that day, I go, you know what? My children will have more than this. So here's what happens. And when I was 28 years old, what happened at that point was I was on that mountain, and I made a decision. And what I did is I pre-framed my future. I knew my boys were going to be on a mountain before they were 28 years old. And then 2 years later, I'm at this other school. It's my first head football coaching job. Way too young to be one. Another long story, but you don't need to hear that right now. And a parent walks up to me at the end of school, gives me an envelope. He's a pilot for American Airlines. Open up the envelopes, 2 tickets to fly anywhere in North America on American. And we wanted to go to Maui or Hawaii because we dreamed of that watching the Brady Bunch, growing up. And that's where when you grew up, seriously, when you grew up in West Texas, folks, before cable and all that, your whole worldview shaped by Gilligan's Island and Beverly Hillbillies and that kind of stuff. Brady Bunch. The Brady Bunch tarantula episode. You know what I'm talking about. See, all you old folks in here know what I'm talking about. So, you generation, whatever you are, don't have a clue what I'm talking about. So, here's the thing. We wound up getting a cheap Cancun package. So we go to Cancun, all expenses paid. I mean, not all expenses. Got the airline paid, but we had to pay for this 3-star hotel, which was, it could have been 8-star in our world because we were used to nothing. And all I remember is we got out of the rental car or whatever it was, or the taxi, and you could just see the ocean through the opening of the hotel and through the foyer. And then Diane's and all. I go up the elevator, 7th floor, and I go straight to the balcony. I'm looking out at the ocean, and I see shades of green and blue and stuff. And I'm just blown away. And I start bawling again. I'm 30 years old. And I ask myself, why? Why am I 30 years old? It's the first time I've ever seen the ocean like this and seen this beauty like this. And I said, my boys will see this beach before they're 30 years old. So I started pre-framing that. But yet I still didn't have the vehicle. And so you got to have a vehicle. See, first it starts with you have to see something and pre-frame it. But then, and you can't get your eyes off of it because you've already created it in your imagination. See, it was there. I believed it so I could see it. I could see my boys on the mountain. I could see my boys on the beach. And then, a year and a half later came our first opportunity, in direct sales. And that changed everything. And so now, let me tell you something, a little bit about layers of conviction. Sometimes it's just one moment, like on a mountain, or one moment on a beach. But then there's other times when it's layers of conviction that get you to a point where you finally see something bigger. Even today might be a new layer of conviction for you where you finally see something clear. And now that you see it, you got to lock it in and pre-frame it. Because there were certain layers of conviction as we got in that first business, which it's way too long of a story to tell you, but it was the first day that we got and presented the business, we only had $130 in our checking account. We were in bankruptcy, didn't have any credit cards, no one to borrow money from. We started our business with $130, and we knew we were going to be multimillionaires. And we asked our sponsor how to do it, and he took us to a meeting that night. And that was another layer of conviction, that meeting that night. And then we got to work and started earning some money, started realizing, there were layers of conviction. We started seeing what kind of money we could earn, how quickly we could earn it. And then we went to a hotel meeting about 3 weeks in. That was another layer of conviction. And we heard other stories. And here's probably where it really started. That night at the hotel meeting, our owner of the company was giving out 2-week bonuses. And we'd give out every 2 weeks, he'd give out $10,000 worth of bonuses for recruiting. So 4,000 would be first place every 2 weeks. 4,000, 3,000, you're going to count the money all the way down. And they brought the winners across the stage because it was a Texas-based company at that time and everybody was pretty local. And this one, when he brought them up there and handed them in their envelope, he told the guy and his wife that won for 2 weeks, he handed it, he stuck the mic in front of him and said, I'll just say Johnny. He just said, Johnny, tell him what you see here. And here was Johnny. It was like, well, Danny, I'm just happy to be here. And me and Diane looked at each other. We were like, do you see what I see? And she said,
yes, I see what you see.
We're going to be rich.
So rich.
And that was it. We knew right there we were going to be rich because we saw somebody else having success that was a good person, like salt of the earth. They're incredible. But it was just that we could see it. It was another layer of conviction. And then we quickly fixed our eyes upon a date. I said, we're going to make $25,000 a month by the end of our first year in this business. And that's when things took off. Why? Because I locked it in. But it took a few things to figure that out. It took a few weeks, 3, 4, 5 weeks before we could set a number there. And the same thing happened here last year. When we got started on August 1st, August 2nd, came to the This Is It convention August 17th. There are things we've been doing those 2.5 weeks and building and starting to earn some money and recruiting. Came to the convention, saw people come across stage, saw people tell their stories, got excited, saw everything and we already had a vision for our own lives, but we caught the vision of this team. We caught the vision of this company and what it could happen here. And we set a goal. We go, we're going to be making $100,000 a month by August of 2024. We locked it in. We locked it in. And that frame has already been filled. So we've got, that's the power of pre-framing. That's the power of you have to believe it to see it, and then you seize it.
Exactly. And today has been all about you guys learning the system, right? Y'all have learned the system, and we have an incredible system, a system that has proven success. Our success is because this was turnkey ready. All we had to do was say yes and start working the system, right? So now you got to trust the process, all right? Because it's not, we can't look at who did it in 8 weeks or who did it in 2 months or who did it in 5 years. It doesn't matter. We have to trust your process, and we have to trust God because his timing is the right timing. We do our part, and the rest of it will happen, but we've got a system in place that you've got to know that absolutely works, but there's a process in place that you've got to just endure. Because yes, some will, some won't. Some do, some don't. The ones you think are going to do it might not do it. It doesn't matter about the no's. You're only looking for the yeses. No means not now. Like, these are all the things that we have to understand. You can't assume that somebody that moved so fast or somebody that had success like us in a year didn't get the no's, didn't go through the process, didn't have the hard times, the tough times, just like they were talking about the roller coaster. So you've got to trust the process and know it's part of the deal. You've got to be willing to do what others aren't willing to do. Okay, here's something you need to write down and remember it. Success is not convenient, and it is not comfortable. Success is not convenient, it is not comfortable. It would be super great if it was convenient and comfortable, but unfortunately, you're going to have to do things that are not easy. You're going to have to do things that are hard, and you're going to have to learn new things. You're willing to learn new things. You are fully capable. You have the mind of Christ. You can learn new things, okay? So just be willing to do it and know that it's not comfortable. Being on the Zooms, making the phone calls, doing the reach outs, doing the follow-ups, people calling, asking for the 3-ways, not always convenient, not always comfortable, but it is worth it. And there's going to be those days that you're going to be thinking, is it worth it? Is it worth it? Maybe sometime you're crying because I've cried. Maybe sometimes you're mad because I've been mad. But then there's those days and you go, absolutely, it was worth it. Absolutely, because when you see your team win, when you see people's lives change, it is absolutely worth it. So just be willing to do what others aren't willing to do. When we were first when we were first introduced to that company several years ago, 27 years ago, the first thing they asked us, are you willing to be coachable and teachable? And we said, yes. You're being coached up right now. You're being taught everything that you need to know. Now you have to put it into action. There's 3 words I have for you, and it's think, speak, and act. Okay, we got to, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he, right? You guys know that. So what are you thinking about? Because that has to match up to what you're believing for, what you're framing up, right? All these things matter on what you're thinking, because what you think, you then speak. If I'm not thinking the right thing, then I'm speaking the wrong thing. So when you catch yourself speaking the words you're not supposed to speak, then you need to start thinking, you need to start paying attention to what you're thinking about. And you got to correct it. We're consistently bringing the correction into our mindset, because this is absolutely, completely key for your total success on the way that you think. And then, of course, the way that you speak. Because as you speak, that's going to be super key for you to be speaking into the atmosphere what's to come. what you're believing for. And then you're piercing the hearts of others so they're attracting to what you're believing, because people are looking for confidence. There's too much negativity. There's too much weakness. People will attract to your strength. This is a strong message, and it needs a strong messenger. And you have to be the strong messenger this message deserves so people attract to it. And then act. You've got to get out there and take action. It's absolutely important. So here's something I've been consistently talking to my team about. Talk to people every day and learn along the way, okay? The number one thing that you need to be doing is talking to people. 100 hours of learning is equal to 1 hour of action. So we're out there, if you're out there just thinking you have to learn it all before you take action, you're wasting time. Don't do that. Start talking to people. That's exactly what you need to do, is be talking to the people so you can be changing lives, bringing them into this incredible passion and vision and opportunity that you have, and sharing it with the absolute world. So don't get caught up in feeling like you need to know more. And after this, believe me, you have everything that you possibly need. So now it's just about you guys framing it up and taking the time to really be intentional about exactly what you're wanting as you move out of here. Because here's what we said. We said, we can run hard. I mean, it's a time, this is not something that we should be moving slow in. The season is too good. So we want to make sure that this is not a like I'll get to it thing. It's a now thing, right? It's a now thing. And not only are we like doing it, we're doing it fast. We're running hard. And we said we can run hard for 2 to 4 years. That's easy. It's already been a year and it went like that. 2 to 4 years, guys, run hard. You'll be so excited on the other side of it. Dan?
And you got to be willing to do things that other people aren't willing to do. Yeah. If you want to be highly successful, you just got to do some things you're not comfortable doing. And there's a day where you got to quit making excuses. You got to quit whining about stuff. And you just got to do the hard things. I mean, it's just like a tennis player or a golf player. It's the same old boring strokes. Why are they playing in the U.S. Open? Because it's the same old boring strokes every day. And then they win championships. But let's wrap this up. Let me go back and tell you what happened, though, when we got to $25,000 a month, because we locked in that. We pre-framed it, locked it in, and got there. In our first year, we reached that goal. But here's the thing. The very first thing we did is we took our boys, 6 years old and 3 years old, to Lake Tahoe skiing and put them on a mountain. First thing. The very first thing we did, within 30 days of hitting that goal. What did we do right after that? Guess where we went? We went to Cancun, is where we went, and took our boys right where we had been to show them the dream when they were 6 years old and 3 years old, and we've never stopped since, and our boys have traveled the world. So let us finish up with this thought. Now, here's the power of your belief. Do you want to live in power? Do you want to walk in power? Okay, if you do, here's the thing. It's not just belief. Because what happens if your belief is here, okay, and your actions are here, there is no power. And also, if your actions are here and your belief is here, there is no power. If you want power in your life, the highest concentration of power is when your belief and your actions are at the same level. So your actions have to rise up to the level of your belief, or your belief needs to rise up to the level of your actions. So whichever category you're in today, something has to rise up.
Yes.
Oh, wow. That's a good one.
There it is. Rise up.
Something has to rise up. You got to rise up and get these on equal playing fields.
Yep.
Because what happens now is this is your actions, belief and actions together. Now, if you really want to get to the level of authenticity that it takes to recruit anybody, anytime, anywhere, it's really your authenticity. Yeah. And here's where people, they can see authenticity, they can feel it, they can just sense it from you. And how they do it is when your belief in what you're saying is when you know that you believe what you're saying is absolutely true. So it's at the same level. What you say is at the level of what you believe. And what you believe is at the same level of what you say. Then all that flows out of you is pure authenticity. And people pick up on that. It resonates with them, and they'll follow you to the ends of the earth. And that's how it works. That's how you get authenticity.
Yes.
It's knowing what you have your hands on with this patch, knowing what you have your hands on with this opportunity, knowing that you're on this is the Nick Saban and Nick Saban wife of network marketing. It's like all they do is roll tide and win championships. Let's get on the team. I mean, do you want on the team? You want to play here and you want to win championships, because if you're with them, then you're on that staff. You can get the Texas job, you can get the Tennessee job, you get the South Carolina job, you get the Georgia job. You know, if you just hang with Saban and his wife. Does that make that no one likes that? There's a bunch of Florida Gators in here. That's the problem. That's the problem, man. Ain't no roll tide. I'm not an Alabama fan. I'm just trying to give you a real example of what it means to win championships. So you're on the championship team. So guys, let's do it. Believe in yourself. God bless y'all.
Thank you for watching this empowering talk from Believe. We hope you're leaving with the know-how and belief to take your business to the next level. The journey doesn't stop here. Mark your calendar for the This Is It Convention 2025 Next Level coming August 8th through 10th in Orlando. This is how we grow. From event to event. You won't want to miss it. Be sure to subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell, and share this video with your team. Together, let's rise to the next level.